Something unusual is happening with DevOps jobs right now. And if you only look at surface data, it looks worrying. DevOps salaries are declining, job postings are reducing, and remote DevOps roles are shrinking fast. But at the same time, overall engineering job demand is still increasing. So that creates a contradiction. Is DevOps dying, or is something else happening underneath the surface? I know this sounds surprising, but in this video, I'm going to break down why this might actually be one of the biggest hidden opportunities in engineering right now. Not a collapse, but a time to make money. A few years ago, DevOps engineering was considered a top-tier role in tech. High salaries, remote flexibility, massive demand from startups and enterprises. It was one of those roles that felt almost bulletproof. But something important was happening even back then. The role was never clearly defined. In some companies, DevOps meant infrastructure management. In others, it meant CI/CD pipelines and Terraform. In others, it meant handling production incidents at 2 a.m. And in many cases, it meant all of the above at once. DevOps became a catch-all label for everything between development and production. And that lack of structure is exactly why things are changing now. Because what's happening today is not a collapse of DevOps skills. It's a redistribution of responsibility across engineering. Instead of one broad DevOps role, companies are now splitting responsibilities into specialized domains. Platform engineers are building internal developer platforms and managing Kubernetes ecosystems. Cloud engineers are focused on scaling infrastructure, cost optimization, and architecture. Site reliability engineers are responsible for uptime, observability, and incident response. And software engineers are increasingly expected to deploy and operate their own services. So the DevOps engineer title is shrinking, but the actual DevOps skill set is expanding everywhere else. It's not disappearing, it's being absorbed. And this is the key misunderstanding. DevOps was never meant to be a job title. It was always a system of principles. Things like automating infrastructure, improving deployment speed, shortening feedback loops, and increasing ownership of production systems. Those ideas are no longer advanced practices. They are baseline expectations. This also explains a major shift in hiring. Companies are no longer impressed by people who just know tools. They want engineers who can operate systems in real environments. That means building infrastructure, not just learning it, deploying systems, not just reading about them, debugging production issues, not just simulating them, and owning systems end to end. This is why certifications are losing impact, not because they are useless, but because they don't prove real capability anymore. A certificate can show you understand concepts, but it cannot show you how you behave during a production outage, a broken deployment, a scaling failure, or a real incident under pressure. And that's what companies actually care about. The same applies to tutorials and online courses. Watching something is not the same as building something, because real engineering skill only appears in one place: production. That's why real-world projects are now the strongest hiring signal, because you cannot fake production experience. Companies want engineers who can design infrastructure, deploy applications, monitor systems, handle failures, and continuously improve reliability. The new standard is no longer theory, it is execution. If you haven't built systems outside of tutorials yet, you are already behind where the industry is moving. Now, certifications still have value, especially early in your career, but they should be the starting point, not the end goal. You need both, learning plus building. And this shift is already visible across the industry. Platform engineering is growing rapidly. SRE roles are expanding. Core tools like Kubernetes, Terraform, Python, and CI/CD are still essential. But new tools like Backstage and Crossplane are also gaining traction. And it goes even further. Data engineers are now expected to manage infrastructure and pipelines. Analytics engineers are writing production-grade Python and automation workflows. Even traditional analysts are working with cloud-native systems. So even if the job title doesn't say DevOps, the mindset is everywhere. DevOps is not disappearing, it is becoming universal. And that's where the real opportunity is. Because now there's another shift happening on top of this. AI is starting to fundamentally change how SRE and DevOps work. We're moving from engineers manually investigating systems to engineers working alongside AI systems that observe, correlate, and even recommend fixes in real time. And this doesn't mean less engineering, it means a different layer of engineering. Instead of spending hours jumping between logs, metrics, and traces, AI systems are starting to surface likely root causes in seconds. And that completely changes what being good at DevOps actually means. Because the new skill is no longer just, can you operate Kubernetes? It becomes, can you understand what the system is doing and guide AI tools that operate it with you? And we're already seeing this shift in the ecosystem. The newest Kubernetes releases are not just about scaling clusters anymore. They are starting to integrate better observability, automation hooks, and AI-assisted operations tooling. We're seeing tighter integration with telemetry pipelines, better support for automated remediation workflows, and a growing ecosystem of operators designed to be controlled programmatically, not manually. Which means Kubernetes is slowly becoming less of a thing you manage manually and more of a system you orchestrate with automation and AI layers on top. And this is where engineers can position themselves ahead of the curve, because most people are still learning DevOps the old way. Manual deployment thinking, manual debugging thinking, manual infrastructure thinking. But the next wave is different. The engineers who will stand out are the ones who can understand distributed systems deeply, use AI tools to accelerate debugging, automate repetitive operational work, and design systems that are AI assisted by default. At that point, you're no longer just an SRE or DevOps engineer. You become someone who builds and manages intelligent systems. And if you want to understand where this is all going next, and how engineers are already using AI to replace hours of debugging work with minutes, I actually broke down 5 AI tools every modern AI plus SRE engineer needs to master right now in another video. That includes tools that help with incident response, observability, automation, and even AI-driven root cause analysis. So if you're serious about staying ahead of this shift, go watch that video next. It will give you a very clear picture of what modern AI-powered engineering actually looks like in practice. And I'll see you in the next one.